5 Feet Apart. 5 Feet Apart is probably going to be my favorite film of this entire year. Probably. This film was so good. It stars Cole Sprout and Haley Louis Richardson, and the movie's actually quite good. Like very, very, very good. Like it's more surprisingly good than you would think. This movie deserves probably a Best Picture nominee. That's how good I thought this movie was. Essentially what happens is these two people are dying of I can't even say the thing right, but they're dying of a disease, and they can't touch each other, right? They have to be like 6 feet apart at all times, and they can't really have contact with each other, and they have to make a love story around that. Like they fall in love, and they have to figure out how to do that, being 6 feet apart. What happens is they end up realizing they can do it being 5 feet apart, but still, it's hard to like someone when you can't touch them, and they do a really good job at making it feel realistic. I mean, this movie's realistic as hell. Like if you watch this movie, you're like, oh my god, this movie, like how they do it is very realistic from beginning to end. This movie is one of the most realistic movies that Hollywood probably has ever made, and it's real good. It's like I said, it's one of my favorite films of the year, and I like how they approached it all too, because there is no happy ending in this film. It's like a romantic film, and there's no happy ending for these two characters. They have to basically be separated in order so they can live, and it's a really sad and heartbreaking moment, and it's it's unbelievable how good they did it. Like the acting is phenomenal, the story was amazing. This movie should have came out in theaters. They released it on DVD, and it really should have came out in theaters. It's that good. If you can find a way to watch this movie, rent it and watch it. Like I said, one of my favorite movies probably of the entire year. So the story starts off with Stella and this guy named Will, right? Stella is more organized and all this kind of stuff, believe in doing regiments and stuff like that, but she has no reason to live. So she's just, she's just getting by. She's not living. And here comes Will, who's not doing anything, like his regiments or taking his medicines or anything like that. Yet he's out there wanting to actually live and wanting to experience life. And they two conflict when they first meet. And they convince each other to basically take risk and stuff like that, and take chances and do what they're supposed to do and do what they're not supposed to do. And that element of the film is fine. The entire movie relies on these two actors basically being able to convince us that they're in love, but they can't touch each other, and they do that very well in this movie. It's probably one of my favorite things about this movie is just because you never thought that Cole Sprout from Zack and Cody could actually act, and in this movie he just does a phenomenal job. Like I said, he hits it out of the park. Like I said, there was a lot of Disney stars that pop up in this movie. There's that kid from Hannah Montana, and he plays as the gay friend, and it's really heartbreaking when he dies. You kind of feel it because he was a big part of their entire relationship throughout the movie, and then he dies. It's just a heartbreaking moment, and the two characters run off, and they end up at like a frozen pond, and then the chick falls through. And remember, they're not allowed to touch each other. They have to be 6 feet out at all times. But in order to save her life, the main character Will has to basically give her mouth to mouth in order to save her. And it's it's an interesting moment because again, they can't touch each other. If they kiss, they could die. And in this moment, in order to save her, he has to give her mouth to mouth, risking his own life to save her. And at the end, she gets a lung transplant, which only fixes her for something like 5 years, so she still has the disease. But Will has to leave. Will has to go because he knows he can't, be with her, because if he does, she could die, and he leaves because he's about to be dead anyways. And it's a real heartbreaking moment, and that's what I kind of like about this movie quite a bit. Is that, like I said, there was no happy ending. It felt realistic as hell because they couldn't be together, even though they wanted to. They could have made a way for them to be together, but they knew not. The directors knew better to do that because it would be a more better and more realistic story had they just been separated at the end and not forced to be with each other. And yeah, it really serves the story very, very, very well in my opinion. They made the right choice in this movie, and like I said, thanks to it came out in theater, it's so good. This movie should be nominated for an Oscar. Unfortunately, I don't think it will, but it definitely should be. I mean, this was a little movie that kind of went on the radar. And when I first saw the previews for it, it's something I wanted to see. I don't like romantic movies, but this one seemed different, and it really is a completely different film. This thing, pretty much the stories are the cliches of romantic films, and that's really what I like about it. You're not going to get a happy ending. You're not going to get satisfaction from the story because it's, like I said, it's a realistic romantic story. It's like what happens if two actual people have this disease and fall in love, and it works really, 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 really well. I encourage everyone to go out and see this movie because it's really good.